Hello, and welcome to the third episode of this little, podcast. And hello, Dr.
Hello, Connor. How
Park.
are you?
I'm doing amazing. I'm very excited, actually, because I don't know. But
Well, that's good. This is your third episode. It's off
yes,
and rolling then.
yes, very much so. And
Yeah.
I've been having a blast doing it. And I guess the first, question is pretty much how'd you get into FFA? It's kind of like the opening question. Like, did you think you were gonna be going into it? Like, were you kind of like forced into it by family? Because I don't think most people assume that you're gonna be the national president and then later in life be the national advisor.
Well, true. I had not planned for either of those actually. No, I started FFA as a freshman in high school, by enrolling in an agriculture class. Now, my father was our local ag teacher, and therefore I saw a lot of FFA members, chapter officers years ahead of me, and I always wanted to have one of those blue jackets and go on the trips and do the things that FFA members did. Growing up, however, my father would not allow either myself or my two younger brothers to do any of the FFA activities until we were actually in high school and enrolled in a class. And so it was really special then as a freshman to get to participate in FFA.
Yeah, and I think that's pretty cool because I always like talking to people and asking how they get started into it because it's always a different story. Like some people were like born into it, like they had family members that were like teachers in FFA, or they just happened to be forced into a class and end up being in it, which I just think is pretty cool.
Yeah, it is. I was in high school in the last century. Uh, the fall of '86 was my freshman year of high school. And at that time, agriculture education probably was not, well, not probably, it was not as
Yeah,
popular as it is today. We were in the midst of the farm crisis of the '80s, and so lots of farmers in our community in central Indiana were going out of business. There were a lot of farm auctions, and there's an old country song that was country when country wasn't cool. That's kind of the way ag education FFA was when I started. And then, like I said, I've got two younger brothers. They and their friends got involved. And by the early '90s, just after I'd graduated high school, things started to turn, right? And FFA and ag education started being cool again. And so I was kind of there at the tail end of that tough time to be an FFA member.
yeah,
But I got a lot out of it, grew, was served as a chapter FFA officer and then a state and national officer. And gosh, now for the last 3 years, have served as a national FFA advisor.
and I think you've been doing a pretty good job. And
Well, thanks, Connor. I appreciate that.
and I kind of always like in my head whenever I think about like FFA, at least the history of it, I kind of just split it up into like eras in my head. So like it'll be
Okay.
from when it started to when the NFA and FFA merged, and then from there to 1988 when they rebranded from Future Farmers of America to just the National FFA organization, and that all the way to now, because I feel like, although it is the same organization, I feel like we have changed so much in the way we do things ever since 1988, because it went from just being like
Yeah.
shown as the farming club or whatever to like
Hmm.
being more like agriculture is more than just working on a farm.
Yeah, that's a really accurate and astute observation, I think. Yeah. There in the late '80s, as we changed our name and we changed a couple of words in the FFA creed, um, reinforced the official dress, I think. Moved, and it was a decade later, right, that we moved
Yeah,
the national headquarters from Alexandria, Virginia to Indianapolis. But yeah, it was really kicked off in the late '80s to change and modernize the organization. And since then, membership has grown, opportunities for students have just increased through the roof, and we're adding more opportunities all the time.
right. And this
Yeah, I like
is
that. How did you get involved in FFA, by the way?
Oh, so I got started in middle school, my sixth grade year. Um,
Uh huh.
I was just placed in an ag class in my middle school, and it was I didn't know. And the way we did things is they would have like an elective or like non-needed things, so like anything that wasn't just math, science, history, reading, whatever electives, and then we would change every 9 weeks. So the first 9 weeks I had
Okay.
agriculture or agri-science, and I did not think I was going to be interested in it at all. That was a lie.
What got you excited about agriculture or ag classes and FFA?
I think it was just the fact that I got like my mind like open to the fact that it wasn't just farming. Like it's so much more because that class it went over animal science, plants,
Hmm.
and just a lot more than I thought it really could be. And then um, the first ever meeting I went to was I remember it pretty well because I think I still have pictures, but it was where we made dog toys for the local animal shelter, and I just like fell in love from there, and then here I am going into my sophomore year, still doing it, and I
Yeah.
don't plan to stop until I'm forced to.
Perfect. Perfect.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a you run into so many people who say FFA. I remember that back in my high school days. Is it still around? Is it still relevant? And a lot of people don't think that ag education and FFA are, right? But man, we've managed to evolve and change and still appeal to new generations of students like yourself, and um, that's the exciting part of what we do.
yeah, and I think it's slowly getting more and more relevant, just
Yes,
as just things go along because we have over 1 million members now, which
right.
is crazy to think about that there's 1 million blue jackets out there.
Oh my gosh, crazy and exciting. And for those students, I need to craft a better way to say it, but I've really worked on it for a long time and I can't come up with a better way. But, for all of us, but especially students in middle school and high school now, every day for the rest of your life, food, water, the environment, those three things will be not only important today, but more important tomorrow and
Yeah,
every tomorrow after that. And so, with that brings lots of opportunities for entrepreneurship and science and teaching and leadership and communications and you name it. It's just the opportunities literally are endless in this field.
yeah, and just like how it's not just food, it's also animal science. So being a vet, working in ag mechanics, so working with
Hmm.
engineering, and just so much more than what you would just think agriculture would be. And that's pretty amazing that we
Yeah.
get to
Well, it's
do that.
crazy that you mentioned that. Um, Last night, I had dinner early and happened to sit down and catch the end of the national evening news. I think it was CBS. They had their final segment it wasn't an FFA member, probably a 4-H member, but a future FFA member at least, right? This young man showing his brother's goat at a fair.
That's
And I'm like,
awesome.
uh, that is really typical agriculture, but it was a
National.
heartwarming story. The big brother had something happen, and the little brother got to show the goat, and was came in fourth place in his class. But I can't imagine um, just how a decade ago, 2 decades ago, agriculture like that wouldn't really make the evening news unless it were a drought or something bad. And not only is it agriculture, but it was a young person engaged in agriculture. That one spot on the evening news.
And
Pretty dang cool.
that always will make me happy. I love seeing people my age or younger
Yeah.
just getting involved in it because it is fun. It's a
Yeah.
lot. It's really really fun, and just I don't know, just getting to compete in something that I just love, and even if I don't go into a field in agriculture after I graduate high school and college, I'm still gonna have an appreciation for agriculture and agriscience that I would have never been able to grow, and I will leave with skills that are so much that will affect my life from here on out. Like, I would say that like my dedication and like wanting to like be that first hand up when someone asks a question come from being an FFA. Just like using my opportunities and like responsive just to make the best.
Yeah. And I think part of the magic of involvement, engagement in FFA is, for the most part, right? You don't have to have any special talent. You don't have to be of superior intellect. You don't have to come from lots of money or anything. You have to show up and, like you just said, right? Raise your hand and say, I want to participate. And that opens up so many doors for you, that just being willing to go, hey, I'll give it a try. That's the magic of
Yeah,
participation in FFA.
because it's gonna turn into a lot more. Because something
Yeah.
one of my FFA advisors, Mr. Craig, has said to us in class. He said, um, "No one leaves FFA wishing they did less.
I love that. I love it. Yeah.
Everyone wishes they did more." And I think that's pretty cool that we as an organization can make people not only wish that they did more, but there is so many things that you can do.
Oh
Because
gosh.
anything from uh, judging land in Oklahoma
Hmm.
somewhere to working in a vet's office and like
Yep.
showing skills with dealing with animals are so completely different, and yet they're still FFA events that you can compete in.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
You don't get bored being a active member of the FFA.
absolutely not. And
So
one
yeah.
question I wanted, um, I feel like, what is it exactly that you as the national advisor do? Because I don't think many people know. Like, I don't know.
Well, I would like to say that I have lots of advice and people ask me questions where I can use that advice, right? And that's maybe a little part of it. But I really wear uh, three hats with my work with National FFA. And keep in mind, my paid job is that of a college professor at North Carolina State University. So my work with FFA, although everything in the background, is FFA, is volunteer. So I'm very fortunate that the university and my colleagues here and my family at home create the space to allow me to do this. And so one of the hats is the National Director for Ag Education, and that is to work with the Council for Ag Education, of which FFA has a couple of seats on that council. And we provide vision and direction for all of ag education, everything from curriculum to partnerships to recruitment of teachers. Those are the kind of efforts that come out of the council. You might have, I don't know if your school teaches using the CASE curriculum, but it's a high-end science curriculum that's pretty popular. That's a council project. Then I'm the chair of the board of directors for the National FFA organization, and that is the one where I get to be one of three official spokespeople for the National FFA organization. I put together our board agendas and work with our CEO, Scott Stump, who is just an amazing leader, to put those materials together and propose ideas for the national organization to consider. And so our board of directors is comprised of 13 individuals. Some of those are teachers, some are state staff, and some are agriculture industry professionals. And so we come together about 4 times a year to meet and discuss opportunities for FFA and FFA members. And then the third hat is serving as the National FFA advisor. And that one is, I would say, mostly ceremonial. At the National FFA convention and at our board meetings, I get to say the advisors
Yeah.
part of opening ceremonies. I get to bring greetings to the national convention. I travel to about 6 to 8 state FFA convention and ag teachers conferences and bring greetings. And probably the chief amplifier and appreciator, right, of our staff in Indianapolis and state staff all around the country and our teachers and our students. So that's pretty ceremonial and but mostly Scott Stump, the CEO of FFA, and then our leadership team. Cheryl Zimmerman is from Wisconsin. She's the national executive secretary. The national treasurer is Matt Winkle from Ohio. We do the adult work of the organization, and then we also provide a lot of guidance to the national FFA officers. They ask questions, and we are a student-led organization, and so we want to consciously seek and listen to the perspectives of our student FFA members. And so the 6 national FFA officers are a big part of that voice as they travel to conventions and camps and visit local chapters. They hear ideas, they hear perspectives on our ideas at the national level, and so we listen to them and ask them a lot of questions. In
Yeah.
fact, Thursday evening I'll drive over. They're here in North Carolina for their retreat before the national convention, and so my wife and I are going to drive over there and cook dinner for them, and then sit down and ask a bunch of questions and listen. And so that's what we do as the advisor.
Yeah. I've gotten the pleasure to meet 2 national FFA officers, that being Caroline Groth and Thaddeus Berschneider, and they both have been
Oh yeah,
very nice and amazing.
right. Caroline's a neighbor of yours, so to speak, right?
She went to our chapter. I met her um, in 6th or 7th grade because she was doing a little workshop for middle schoolers in our county that like were
Uh
interested
huh.
in FFA and agriculture. She did like a workshop talking about like um, if I remember correctly, it was I think it was something to do with like being successful and how you can be successful even if you don't win, or how to
Ah,
be successful in just having fun.
gotcha. Yeah, Caroline's fan. This is a great, fantastic national officer team. It's really effective, really deep thinkers, really student oriented, and super professional. And Caroline is just a star among stars. And then Thad is, boy, Thad could easily take my job as national FFA advisor. That's for sure when he's done.
Yeah. He actually went to the Kentucky State FFA little camp during
Oh
it's like
yeah.
in 4 weeks, and he actually came at the same time that I was there, and he stayed there the entire time. He pretty much was a camper. He was pretty much
Yeah.
just a camper walking around doing all the activities, and it was pretty cool to see because I will always find it amazing and respectable when people like him who are just like I guess so high up there are actually like down with us doing
Mm-hmm.
the things because you know no one gets to be a national officer on their own. It takes a lot of work, effort, friends, support, teachers, so much more, and I just love it because it's like in a way showing his appreciation for all those that helped him get to where he is.
Right, right, yeah. And yeah, this team is really, really professional, and they can do that broad thinking like we expect them to do because they serve on the board as well, and but yet, gosh, they are so member oriented and can just have a lot of fun with FFA members and be a good example working alongside right there at your elbow.
Yeah,
They don't have to be up on the stage behind a podium. They can exert just a lot of influence being a good person hanging out.
yeah, just telling fun stories or like messing around at lunchtime or doing whatever. Like he picked up one of the counselors and threw her into the pool. Just
Oh my gosh, yeah.
she was fine with it. She was okay. He didn't just like
Yeah.
randomly kidnap her. No, he just picked her up, took her over to the pool, and he was chanting something like "I got a counselor, I got," or something like that. Just
I'll have to ask him about that Thursday evening.
just absolute like I guess the best way to describe it is just still having that like childlike wonder, or just
Hmm.
still being a kid, because at the end of the day they're all still kids at the end of the day. I think that's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
it's a pretty amazing year. They get to do a, you know, it, Thad the day or two before you met him at camp, he could have been on a stage speaking to 2 or 3 thousand people at a convention, or he could have been visiting with, executives at John Deere or Ford Motor Company or BASF. It just, you don't know. I mean, and one day, you're doing that kind of heavy lift, and the other day you're lifting someone, throwing them in a pool at a camp.
I guess, and that's always just cool how we can just still have these like massive responsibilities and still have fun.
Yes.
That's
Oh, absolutely.
and that's pretty cool. And you,
And and what's too special, there's many things that I think are special with what we do in FFA, but that there's Thad and Caroline interacting with you, and they're what, 3 or 4 years older than you,
mm-hmm,
but it's that peer-to-peer leadership and positive role model that is provided by our officers. And I know for me as a freshman, sophomore in high school, I so looked up to our chapter officers, and I'll still say to today, the chapter president, when I was a sophomore in high school, is one of the most remarkable leaders I've ever learned from. And so to look up to Brian at that stage, and then other officers, that's powerful for young folks too. To have those peer-to-peer relationships.
which is why I think FFA is just so cool because it is a student-run organization,
It is.
and
Yeah.
it will like it's kind of awkward for like I guess kids my age to like talk to these adults about the organization they're in, but for us we don't really need to. Obviously we're gonna have to do at some point, but the fact that the main leadership in our little area are students,
Mm-hmm.
which makes it so
Yeah.
much easier to like feel comfortable coming up with new ideas because it's not just, oh, I have to talk to Mr. So and so and give him a weird idea, and then because it's always going to be like, no matter how confident, it's always going to be a bit weird, at least for me,
Yeah.
to just talk to a teacher.
Yeah, but here, Connor, as you go about the next couple of years of your involvement in FFA, the roles are going to reverse a
Yeah.
little bit. You're now the mentor for, or the leader that some freshman or eighth grader is looking up to, and you may not ever know that they're watching you, excuse me, and your example of leadership, but they are. And so you can make that positive difference as well.
Yeah, which is what I'm excited about. I want to be someone else's reason for why they got into FFA or why they had fun. That's just
Yeah.
always been like a dream of mine, to just be that positive impact for someone, or just be that
Based
role
on
model.
our short interaction here today, I have no doubt you'll accomplish that many times over.
Yes, thank you. And you are.
Cool.
It's pretty cool that because whenever I think about the FFA people who work behind the scenes, I always think of you, just because I think you're kind of the figurehead, I guess, of National FFA. That's not just the student body, and I think that's pretty cool that I can have this like 30-minute or so conversation with you, and that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, well, we're all in it together. We've got, we're surrounded by amazing people. Our teachers all across the country are so dedicated and so invested in making a difference in students' lives and providing opportunities to FFA members. So we're all people.
Yeah.
We're all playing this game together.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. Hey, no problem. Anytime.
Have an
Are
amazing.
you really a Tennessee Titans fan, though?
It's more of
That's
my
a
dad.
2019 schedule.
Yes, it is. It's actually signed by Derrick Henry and a few other people, but we got it at the NFL draft, and that was in Nashville.
Oh, wow.
I went there with my dad.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
That's very cool. Very cool. Yeah. I have my fantasy football draft tomorrow evening, so I've got to do a
My
little prep
dad's-
tonight.
My dad's
after
pretty
work.
big on it. He actually, this next 2 weekends, he'll be out of town doing NFL draft,
Oh, gosh.
fantasy football, because he's pretty into it.
That's pretty into it, I would say. Good. Well, Connor, it has been a pleasure. Do you have any additional questions?
Um, I don't think so.
Well, very good. Will you be in Indianapolis at the National Convention?
That's the plan.
All right. Well, look me up. I usually hang out in front of the stage at some point before before the sessions, before we do opening ceremonies, and enjoy visiting with FFA members. And since we've had this brief interaction, I'd love to meet you in person. Say hello.
That'd be amazing. Well, I hope you have an
Cool.
amazing rest of your day. And thank you so
Hey, you
much.
too. Thanks, Connor.
Have a good day.
You bet.